We continue our pre-election segments with a candidate for Register of Deeds in Suffolk County. We'd like to welcome John Keith. John, thank you very much for being with us before. I want to have you start with your background, because you've got some politics here, but more real estate, actually.
Yeah, so I'm a Boston native, or a Massachusetts native, I should say. I graduated from Northeastern, and I've lived in Boston for the past 25 years. My background for the last 14 years has been real estate. I own my own brokerage here in the city. Before that, though, I was a business analyst, computer consultant, and I have a background in accounting. So my experience has been in numbers and data, and both that and the real estate, I think, would really help in this job as Register of Deeds.
Well, one question that I've been still educating myself about here is how much does the Register actually control? Because a lot of the control here is really under the Secretary of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, the Register of Deeds, historically has had a significance. It's been around for almost 400 years. It predates the United States of America. It was there actually before Suffolk County, and at the time it was very important to have somebody who you trusted and you knew who to be honest, and so you wanted to vote on the person to see who could hold on to the book and literally hold on to the book and make sure that it was in good hands. Obviously now things are different, and we still have this office of County Register of Deeds, even though, as you say, the Secretary of State is responsible for it ultimately. And of course, nowadays everything is computerized. So it's a holdover from those days, and it has limited responsibility. It doesn't have any policy responsibility. But there still needs to be someone who's in charge, someone who is an administrator, who has management background like I have, who can go in and make it run smoothly.
Well, you work in real estate. You've been doing this for a number of years, so you must be sometimes frustrated. What would you like to change?
Yeah, so the simple answer is everything, I guess. And of course, when you run for this office, you like to look at it and say, okay, what could be different? So let me first say that, and then reference what you talked about with the secretary. The website, as most people will say, is in need of an upgrade. So just extracting information from the website. And then the other big issue is, which relates to the information in the computer system that they have. And then the other deals with things such as, should it be an elected position? Should it be an appointed position? And really, should it exist at all? Regarding the website, which is how most people will interact with the registry rather than going into the courthouse to register, it's one of 21 websites across the state, and some of them use the same software, and some of them use the same information system, and then some use a different one. And the only way to get everyone to be able to use information easily is if all the websites are the same. Which means that the Secretary of State has to get on board of wanting to change the way things are. And it also means, since there's 21 registries, that all of those county registers have to get on board as well. So the job itself, day to day, will be administrative, but it will take a lot of persuasion and a lot of hard work to get the Secretary of State and the other registers to agree, one, to have all the websites be the same, not just similar, but the same, and that we all work together towards an equal goal, which would be appointed positions or eventually abolish the role completely.
We're talking with John Keith, candidate for Suffolk County Register of Deeds. Of the candidates running on the ballot here in November, they all have some amount of management experience, maybe not big corporations, but talk about yours and why it matters.
So yeah, the real estate company I run is basically just me. I've had agents over the years, but the management experience I've had wasn't in an office environment. I worked for what is now Bank of New York, but at the time was owned by Mellon Bank. But my management experience is being in an office environment. So I do have, I'd say, about 15 years of experience as a manager. So, and the registry is a lot like that. When I mentioned the 21 registries, that's because some counties have more than one registry. The Suffolk County Registry is in charge of Revere, Boston, Chelsea, and Winthrop. There's 28 employees there. It's a matter of going in, and it's data and it's numbers and it's paperwork. So your job is to make sure everything runs efficiently, and that the data is accurate. And that may sound simple, but they have 100,000 documents that go through there a year, and like I said, 400 years of data not all of it online, but you're in charge of an enormous amount of information. And so the responsibility is to understand that. Like I said, I've worked with data in my background, and also work in an office environment, like you said.
What would you do for people who don't have the day-to-day familiarity with this office that you do, and who need to figure things out?
I think most people interact with things well, if you look at the registry of motor vehicles, you go in there once every, I guess, like every 10 years now. You may not even go in to get your license renewed. The registry of deeds cannot be that simple because it's a lot more complicated. When you buy a home or sell a home or somebody forecloses on your home, it's a lot more complicated. You deal with a lawyer, and the lawyer and the other people, your banker, want to be able to access that information. I think most people will interact with the registry through their website. So to just have it be easier to access, it should be as simple as like a Google search, where you can search on your name or somebody else's name. If you spell your name wrong, you should still be able to find information. Right now, it is just impossible, literally impossible, to be able to access that information. So just having it available and then making it more accessible by writing a blog, which I have a lot of experience with, but being able to learn more about it from not actually going to the website. And that means releasing more information. There's other county registers who do spend time writing blog entries. So I would want to do the same sort of thing.
I want to come back to something you've alluded to, and that is, your doubts about maybe whether there should be an elective office. I have some of those doubts myself, but if it's a doubt, why run for it?
I'm running for it because I think I'd be really good at it, and because it's something I would enjoy, which I can't say is necessarily the motivation for everyone running for the position. It's a nice, solid political plum of a job, but I like the idea of being involved with the data and having used it pretty much every day. The Registry of Deeds website, I definitely think it can be improved. But to run for it is to do the day-to-day job, but then say, well, wait a minute, we've been trying to get rid of this office, we've been trying to get rid of county government for years. Why not go towards that end? And in dealing with the Secretary of State, and then you have to deal with the Senate President and the Speaker of the House and the Governor. Everybody would have to get on board to change this, but no one really has the incentive to do so. You just do this job and you do it for 20, 30 years. My goal is to make it something that I think I'm good at and something that people maybe haven't thought about before.
Thank you very much for being with us. John Keith, candidate for Suffolk County Register of Deeds. We'll have more news in just a moment.